The Legend of Goat and Frog. The Legend of Goat and Friends. Once upon a time there lived a goat named Goat. Goat and his friends, Swan and Pedestrian, had been grieving the loss of their dear chum Snail, who had recently perished during Swan's bachelor party vacation to France. They no longer had time to grieve, however, for now was the time to properly concentrate on the preparations for Swan's wedding. In Swanish culture, the bulk of the preparations, including being best man, and financial responsibilities, would traditionally be handled by the groom's tallest associate, who in this case was Pedestrian. Pedestrian also happened to be Swan's best friend, which was a bonus. Once engaged, swans have to get married between 773 hours and 779 hours after the Swanish word for carpet is stated, feces, which is used in a similar manner as the well-known human expression, yes. If they utter this at any other moment than accepting a proposal of marriage, any creature within earshot has permission to disrobe the swan of his or her feathers and dribble on its naked skin with a liquid of the wayward swan's choosing, as long as the swan does not derive pleasure from the dribbled substance. All swan marriages must take place between midday, at the beginning of the afternoon, and when the most disliked pheasant in the country has his or her first cup of tea of the day, which of course means that all engagements must fall between 1 hour after midnight and 6 minutes to 11 in the morning. There are only 2 weeks of the year when swans can get engaged to other swans, though cross-species relationships involving swans are given a much more lenient approach to times of engagementism. Many swan-to-swan weddings therefore take place in a very short amount of time, leading to at least a 61-year wait for the least unpopular marital areas of Britain's most famous lakes. Goat would have liked to be the tallest associate of swans, and had even tried stretching the tips of his horns to make himself taller. This was inspired by Pedestrian, who successfully stretched his fingernails with his teeth, leading to the absence of his mother's knowledge that he enjoyed nibbling them. Truthfully, Goat's efforts had not brought him any closer to becoming the tallest, especially when considering the height of some of Swan's other associates, such as Horse and Signpost. Anyhow, Swan was secretly pleased that Goat was not tall enough, as the wedding would have been a rather disappointing affair if governed by his feeble finances and goatish behaviour. Unbeknownst to Swan, however, Goat would have done anything to provide his chum with the most memorable of all his 12 marriages, even if it meant returning to his former occupation of selling his body. "Perhaps I should," thought Goat. "It wouldn't be so bad, as long as I kept clear of those pesky hedgehogs this time," he scowled to himself, which is a method difficult for many species. "And they never pay." In the distance, Horse was looking on as these thoughts enveloped Goat. He knew just what Goat was thinking, mainly due to the manner with which he was touching himself. "Thinking about going back on the game?" inquired Horse, speaking softly as if to appear concerned or caring. If truth be told, Horse was only interested in his slice of cash should go back to whoredom, for Horse was a pimp, or whoremaster as he liked to be known. There are a few other proper expressions for a pimp, though panderer is another popular one, which originates from the character Pandarus, the procurer of Cressida for Troilus in Shakespeare's Troilus and Cressida, which itself originates from Chaucer's Troilus and Cressade. We don't know where this came from, but most good stories usually originally come from drunks. The term panderer, or to pander, is fun, but these days must be used tactfully due to the growing presence and distress of pandas in this country. Pander the panda was of course himself a panderer, which only exasperated the misplaced assumptions about this species and their whorish ways. Fortunately, Panda is now dead. Since his much publicised accidental suicide, prejudicial jibes and taunts like, "What would you pay me to do this?" have been directed as much to the panada, a thickening agent made from a mixture of flour, water or breadcrumbs soaked in milk, as they have been to pandas, and even pancreases have moderately suffered this abuse, which can only be a good thing. 30%, mumbled Goat. 30%, chuckled Horse, like only horses can. You can have 10% from all your payments and be thankful for it. Now I'm going to go and soil my stable, and would expect you there in an hour with my 90%. And if you make less than a ton, I'll take it all and summon the hedgehogs to forcefully seduce you. Goat wanted to stand up to Horse, but felt under a constant spell when with him, due to his beautiful eyes, larger than Goat's balls, his beautiful teeth, longer than Goat's penis, and his beautiful penis, bigger than...
Of course, Horse,
wept Goat, but only because I love you. Fuck off, Goat.
Yes, Horse.
So Goat left the stables, mopping his tears with a hairy leg and cracked hooves, not his, but those of a shocked donkey passing by. Goat's hooves were in fact shiny and smooth, envied by many. No, this was the leg of a donkey, but the donkey was no longer attached. Goat had removed donkey's leg with his teeth, in a method commonly known as biting. In preparation for future upset, Goat had well-plannedly taken donkey's remaining legs. Unfortunately, this led to donkey's painful yet prolonged death. A passing donk-legsman, a seller of donkey's legs, was passing, and passed him as he passed, but refused to give donkey any legs without payment, which seems cruel, but is in fact acceptable considering that he was a seller of legs and not a giver of legs. Just before dying, Donkey chuckled to himself, because the irony is that he was a millionaire. Donkey, of course, had a top 20 hit with the classic "I can see, brackets, better than you in the dark," close brackets. But he couldn't reach for his wallet due to the aforementioned absence of any legs.
Even funnier, he thought, when one considers what small chance one would have of meeting a donk-legsman at a poetry gathering.
Donkey loved poetry, the cunt. Goat moved on from the poetry gathering, which was of course just next door to the stables. It was run by Horse himself, who loved poetry even more than Donkey, but no form of female genitalia is an adequate insult for this creature. Horse's love for poetry is no more evident than in his latest poetic works, Poetry by Horse. Goat would have read these works every night, imagining that Horse's succulent verses were all written for him. Unfortunately, the infamous "fuck off" was the only one dedicated to Goat, and this was merely a limerick.
"I'm upset,"
said Goat, stating the obvious. He continued to needlessly express his already evident negative emotions, even when approached by potential clients, which put most of them off. Not Cow, though. Of course not Cow. When has Cow ever been put off by some negative emotions? Remember Pig's funeral? He fucked Mrs. Pig while she wept, crushed her to death, so finished himself off with her children because they started crying. Oh Cow, how we love thee. That previous phase was coincidentally the second song featured on the Piglets single, Take Your Cow to the Funeral / Oh Cow, How We Love Thee. One of the most popular songs of the 80s, this single was abruptly removed from all reputable record shops and radio stations following Cow's shenanigans, resulting in the Piglets taking each other's lives using a humorous four-blade sword. There were, of course, 4 members of the Piglets, after Pig Diddy's much publicised and controversial departure, and subsequent rape, which inspired his solo smash, You're Hurting Me, Cow, brackets, not just physically, but emotionally, close brackets, written at the very moment he was being violated. Brown Cow, his full name is Brown Cow, but he insists that all just call him Cow, either out of arrogance or a fear of colour, colophobia, which is also a fear of the colon, both the punctuation symbol and the faeces storing organ. Anyway, he gave Goat £5, which was quite a good offer considering Goat's hideous looks. Whilst making love, Goat was surprised that Cow was rather more sensitive than usual, and inquired as to why.
"Because you're the 12th shag I've had today,"
panted Cow. He had never been this tired, and Goat sensed this when feeling the limper than usual penis within him.
"This is my chance," thought Goat. "Cow is so tired that I might be able to defeat him."
Goat grabbed Cow's dirty rear end and pierced him with his recently stretched horns, resulting in a cocktail of blood and semen filling the first floor of the gallery. Oh yeah, they were in the first floor of a gallery, currently exhibiting some of Squirrel's earlier masterpieces, such as Come Out of the Closet, Swan. This may be foreshadowing a future event, I've not yet decided. Back off, wait and see, bitch. Goat asked Cow to stab him again, for it appeared that it aroused him further. But Goat was disgusted and refused. Bleeding to death, Cow now became upset by Goat's reaction, which caused him to try and make love to himself, ultimately speeding up the agonizing but arousing process of dying. In a way, it's what Cow would have wanted. In fact, Cow always vowed anyhow that would be how Cow would now bow out, but if allowed, would have preferred to be arousing a well-endowed cat, meow, in the eyebrow, just after a row with Mrs. Pig, a sow, just next to a plough, perhaps in Guinea-Bissau. Wow. You see, Cal was another lover of poetry, but his expression of love was permanently sexual, which meant that the local library was forced to close down due to what they described as book rapage, which was in fact a very accurate description of what occurred. After Cal passed away, Goat was relieved but had been turned on when playing with him, and therefore finished himself off with Cal's bloody corpse. Nice. When he had completed his very first solo rape, although there has been some recent controversy surrounding the fact that the subject of rape was dead, some experts believe that this is not impressive enough to be considered a true rape. See Al's True Rape, Wanted Dead or Alive, published by Puffin, or Mockingbirds to Kill a Fucking Bird, published by Penguin Books. Goat shrewdly removed Cal's legs, so he now had quite a collection of hairy legs and hooves in preparation for his next tear-jerking episode. Goat realised that this was the only real way to make money. Don't fuck the clients, kill them.